This is Rahul, DevOps engineer. In today's video, I will show you how to set up two node Kubernetes clusters on the VMs which are running RedHat 8. Okay, so there will be a master node, okay, and there will be a worker node which will host your pods. Okay, so these are pods which are running on your worker node. Okay, so your worker node will host your applications, okay, and your master node is just to manage your pods in the worker node. Okay, so there is a I have prepared one notepad. I'll show you. Okay, uh, in this notepad I have mentioned steps and to set up this Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so our task is to set up two node Kubernetes cluster. One node will work as master or controller and the other node will work as a slave or worker. Okay, so there are a couple of things which we have to take into consideration before we proceed. One is the hardware requirements. So we require two VMs from the same subnet, right? From the same subnet means like they should be able to communicate with each other. Okay, it should not be like this. So you have one VM in another subnet and one is in another subnet and they are unable to communicate. Okay, so the prerequisite is two VMs from the same subnet. Okay, and the other and from the resource perspective, they can have two CPU, minimum two CPUs and 4 GB RAM. The worker can also have two minimum two CPUs and 4 GB RAM. Okay, and the software prerequisites that they should be running RHEL 8, and that's the thing that okay. Now, in this notepad, I have like setting up this Kubernetes cluster. I have uh, divided in three sections. Okay, section 1 is to just setting up master and worker nodes. Okay, section 2 to initialize the Kubernetes cluster on the master node, and section 3 to join your worker node with your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so the main section and important section is your section 1 where you have to do most of the configuration work. Okay, so let's discuss this section 1 quickly and then we'll go to our lab and we'll perform these steps. Okay, these are very simple steps, right? Confirming the OS versions, right? So this is the command everyone knows, okay, to confirm. Okay, so and very important thing is that whatever we do in section 1 we have to perform on both nodes. Okay, so you have to keep sessions open side by side, and whatever you do on one node you have to do on the second node. Okay, setup step number 2 says that setup etc hosts on both master and worker node. Okay, so you have to properly set up your etc host file and you have to put entries of your master node IP address and the host name of master node, and your worker node IP address and worker node host name in the etc host file on both side. Okay, now step number 3 says disable swap space on both master and worker node. So we have to disable swap on both side. Okay, and this is the command. You can use this command to disable the swap space, and you have to make it persistent. So you have to comment any swap partition information the line in the etc fstab also. Okay, step number 4, we have to enable, there is a one kernel parameter net.ipv4.ip underscore forward. This is a IP forward kernel parameter which we have to enable. Okay, and then step number 5 says disable and stop firewall D. Okay, so we have to stop and disable firewall D on both master and worker node. Step number 6, we have to disable Linux and we have to stop Linux on both side. Okay, step number 7, we have to set up the Kubernetes and Docker repositories on both master and worker node. And then we have in step 8 we have to install docker -c on both master and worker, and then we have to start and enable docker and container services on both master and worker. Okay, and step number 10, we have to install the Kubernetes components. Okay, kubeadm, kubectl, and kubelet on both master and worker, and then we have to enable kubelet service in step number 11 on both worker and master. Okay, so let's go quickly to our lab, and then we'll perform all these steps on our master and worker side. Okay, so here's my master node. So I just have given a host name as a master just to identify, but you can give any host name, but you have to ensure that you have to mark it as a master node. Okay, and as your worker node. Okay, so I have just given this as a name of worker. Okay, now the first step says that we have to ensure versions, OS versions. Okay, redhat-release. Okay, so it is running 8.10. Same command we can perform on the worker node. It is also running 8.10. Good. Second step says that we have to set up etc host file. Okay, so etc host file I have already set up accordingly. Okay, so you just have to give your machine's IP address, VM's IP address here. Okay, and your worker node IP address, and you just have to update your etc host file. Step number 3 says disable swap space. Okay, so here we have to run command swap off -a to disable it. Okay, and we have to ensure that the entry of swap partition in the etc fstab is commented. So it is already commented, as you can see. These two commands I will run on the master node as well. So swap off -a and grep -i swap etc fstab, just to ensure it is commented. Okay, so this is persistent change now. Okay, so now let's go to our notepad again. So it says step number 4, enable IPv forward. Okay, so this parameter let's copy, right, and we have to ensure that it is grep -i sysctl.conf. Yes, so it is enabled here. As you see, its value is enabled 1. Okay, so second thing we can do here. Okay, no problem. So up to step number 4 we have done on both sides. Now okay, so we have to run, if you make any change in this sysctl.configuration file, you have to reread the configuration using this file. So if you enable this parameter, if you change any value here, you have to reread using this file on both side. Okay, step number 5 says disable and stop firewall D. Okay, so we'll see what is the status of firewall in our machine. System, using the systemctl status firewall D. Okay, so as you see that this is already disabled. Okay, now stopped, and now I will just disable it. Disable. Okay, now let me see the status on the worker side. So it is dead, inactive dead, and same we can run this command disable. Okay, now step number, let's come to the step number 6, disable and stop clinux. Okay, so let's see the status of clinux in my machine. See is status, so it says already disabled. So you have to disable it if it is running in your machine. See status. Okay, disabled. Okay. Now Step number 7, set up Docker and Kubernetes repositories. Okay, so let's go to the repositories location, etc yum.repos.t. So I have already set up Kubernetes repository and Docker repositories. I will paste these contents in the comment section. You can grab from there and then you can set up your own repositories. Okay. Now, and the same thing we can ensure that it is available on the your worker node. Etc yum.repos.tls. So it is there. Okay. Docker and Kubernetes repositories. Now, step number 8 says that we have to install Docker. Okay, so let's install Docker on both sides. So dnf install Docker. Okay, and yeah, so Docker is ready to install. We just give our confirmation. Same command we can run on the worker node. dnf install Docker C. Okay. Next steps is that we have to start Docker and containerd services on both worker and master. Okay. So here we have to give confirmation. Okay, so it's done. System ctl start Docker. Okay, and enable also enable, and then start container d container d and enable as well. Now same thing we have to do on the worker node. If installation has been completed, yes, it is completed. Now we can start Docker and we can enable, and now we can start containerd. Now we can enable it. Okay, so now let's go to the notepad what it says. Okay, next is in step number 10, install kube ATM kubelet and kubectl components. So let's copy it and then we'll install them. Install -y. Oh, let's see what it says, and we have to ensure that all three components are selected. So kubeatm, kubectl, kubelet, all three has been installed, have been selected. So just we have to give our confirmation. Now same we have to do on the worker node. So dnf install with, let's see what comes here. Okay, so kubeatm, kubectl, kubelet, all three have been selected. So now we give the our confirmation. Okay, so I have differently colored my worker node because it is easier to identify. Okay, now master node, we have to step number 11, we have to enable kubelet service. Okay, on both side. So system ctl enable kubelet. Okay, so it's enabled. Now same command we have to execute on the master node, sorry, worker node. Yeah, so it is enabled. Now section 1 has been completed. So our setting a master and worker node, the setup has been completed. Now section number 2, we'll move to section number 2 and we'll perform the steps here. So these steps we have to perform only on the master node. Be careful. Okay, First is kube ADM init. So this is to initialize our cluster. Let me copy and paste and just paste here. Okay, so it says containerd RPC error. Okay, so for this I have a solution, but I will paste this in our comment box also, so that you can, if you face this issue, you can perform these steps. Okay, so you just have to remove its old configuration and then restart the containerd. Systemctl restart. This is just a workaround. Containerd. Okay, now same thing, we'll face this issue on the worker node. That time we will perform on the worker node. Okay, so now we'll again run this command kube adm init. Okay, yeah, this time no error. Okay, yes, so this is the message which I'm looking for and I was waiting for. Your Kubernetes control plane has initialized successfully. So our master node has been initialized successfully. Okay. Now there is in the end, you in the bottom you see there is a kube adm join command. So this we have to copy and save in our notepad. Okay. This will be run. We will run this when we will perform section number 3. Okay. So now the first step has been completed from section 2. Now step number 2, export. This command we have to copy and we have to execute this export. This is this is environment setup. Okay, some variables. Okay, so we just have to perform on the master node. Okay, now since we have received that our master node has been successfully initialized, now it's time to check the status. So the command which we have to run kubectl get nodes to see the status of your master node. Okay, so you see your master node is name is master, status not ready, its role is control plane, and the version Kubernetes version is this, and age is 88 second. I just 88 second before it was set up. Okay, now its status is saying not ready because it is looking for a network components which we have to install from the outside. Okay, so there is a command to install the network component which we are installing Calico. Okay, which will provide networking services to Kubernetes cluster. Okay, we have to run this on the master side. Okay, so post this run, if you run the kubectl get nodes command again, you will see its status is ready now. See the difference is earlier it was not ready, and after we run this command its status become ready. Okay, now our master node is ready. Okay, this is how you set up your master node. Now it's turn our worker node to join the cluster. Okay, so now we'll copy this. Okay, now we'll move to section number 3. There is only one command which we have to execute on the worker side. Okay, so we have to copy paste this command and we have to paste on the worker node. Okay, so this is my worker node. Okay, so this is the same problem which we encountered in the master node. So we have to just go back and we'll copy the same command from our notepad, or maybe you can get it from the history from the master node. Okay, so here order minus f this. Okay, now systemctl start container d. Okay, Now if you execute this command again, if you repeat the command or execute the same command again, you will see the magic here. This node has joined the cluster. Okay, so your node, your worker node is part of your Kubernetes cluster now. And now run this command kubectl get nodes on the control plane or master nodes to see this node join the cluster. Okay, so here we come and we execute this. See, now your two node Kubernetes cluster is ready to host your applications. Okay, and if you want to see how many there, whenever we set up this Kubernetes nodes or Kubernetes cluster, there's default containers, which default pods which set up while setting up this cluster. I can show you which are the pods are default setup. Okay, so these many pods have been set up default. Okay, so this is how we set up two node Kubernetes cluster in the VMs which are running RedHat 8. Okay, um, the repositories I will post on the comment section. Okay, and in the next video I will show you how to set up pods on the worker node, and how your master node automatically manage your pods, right? I mean, automatically manage means like whenever there is a high load on the system, it will to uh, to suppress that load, it will generate, it will produce more pods. And if whenever there is low load, then that time it will destroy the unwanted pods. Okay, okay, so I think you will enjoy this video. Okay, and yeah, that's it. I'll stop the video now. Thank you so much.